So in this channel we have learned how to create hobbit tongues out of trash, how to create Mad Max cars out of toys. Obviously it's time to create a spider tank out of Lego because, yes, I don't know. I don't have a clue, to be honest. Part 1, the why. Well, there's a simple why for this. I like tanks. I like spider tanks because I like science fiction. Warhammer has its own, but it costs a lot of European money. It costs even more Canadian money, and it costs a bit more European money, but less Canadian money in US American money. And actually, I found this by accident in AliExpress, and I love Tachikomas from Ghost in the Shell. And it cost just 2 units of European money or 1 unit.
It's free real estate.
Part 2, references. Well, the idea is to mix these walking mines and these Chinese flying robots of Fallout 3, the Sentinel robot of Fallout in general, or that other Sentinel robot, with the Tachikoma and Fuchikoma, and the idea of the Chinese tanks like this Type 59. You will receive something like this box, which says, given you as a gift. It is not a gift, it costs money, but you will have one of these guys, or 2, in my case there were 2, and you will learn how to create this in this video, or if you do not like it, this other one, or whatever the hell this thing is, which I don't know. Part 3, building.
Hello, I'm a Tachikoma Spider Logic Combat Tank, but I need a boot. Will you be okay? Thank you. You can drive me right now. Woo!
Part 4, adding details. Well, right now it's just to add details because this looks like a Lego. To begin with, I will glue all-terrain car wheels to add more detail cheaply. And by the way, if you are liking the video till this moment, please give a like, subscribe and click on notifications because this has taken more time than expected and you will learn a lot of interesting stuff. To begin with, right now I'm using a hemispherical dome and I will put, not glue, just dry fit other small domes which came from a space marine mold that I do to make space marines with space helmets because I wanted some kind of StarCraft marine but for the space marines. Now I will remove this head and will try again dry fit the sphere with the eyes, and well, it just works, which is nice. And now I will try to create something interesting. I will use these plastic sprues, just the cylinders, in order to create a thing to put these springs which have been previously glued to the domes, because this will push up outwards, so you could press the eyes and move them without the possibility of the eyes falling inside the head once everything will be finished, because that will be horrible. The only purpose of this blue ring is to work as a brake. It breaks the head from trying to jump off and destroy everything in its path. And now I'm gonna glue these black rods of the original wheels to these other all-terrain wheels using baking soda and loctite or cyanocrolite, and well, it works. It adds more detail and it doesn't look empty. This sphere came from a beer, I guess, which I didn't drink. And this sphere came from a deodorant, and this mount for the eye came from a pen. And now it's time to put the laser turret on its original canonical place, which is a World War I tank. You can ask me in the comments for which purpose is that tank. And these are Kinder eggs. That other one is a new one, and this is the old one. I have glued original parts of this fake Lego. Yes, I know it sounds weird. Lemon Ross hatch and some other details. If you do not have a Kinder Surprise egg, you can use this technique, which consists in using a spice jar lid and a hemi-dome or hemisphere cut in half, and well, that's all. This is for the Tachikoma. And now I will use these spheres from the deodorant and then cut again this in half in order to create a bottom, a rounded bottom for the Tachikoma and the Tachikoma. Now don't be afraid, I did this off camera because I wanted to test and try some things before showing you. For example, what I have done is to make these arms, this cannon that can move, basically make a hole on the bottom and and glue some magnets inside, and these balls are beads. The hands, well, they are fake Lego part of the hand. And these came from a metallic pen, and it will be the fix or the gun mantlet for the Tachikoma, which is fixed, versus the Tachikoma, which is movable. Now I will bend some wire to make the fingers of the hand. It's easier if you bend them and then hit them to create those nice holes in order to put there the fingers. And well, that's all. Now this is the interesting part. I will do something with these beads. First, if you want to do what I'm gonna do, put them on a metallic rod and hit them till they are red hot. Then, once they are red hot, drop them directly to water, and that chemical reaction will remove the paint and create a metallic rusted effect by free, which will not remove easily. Then glue one ball to the other with some wire and cyanocrolite, and that's all. You have articulated arms that can be used for dreadnoughts, space marines, or tactical dreadnought power armor, which I forgot the other name. It has some type of thing like those. It's easy and it works. Why I didn't choose to paint them? Well, because if you paint them and you make this movable, the paint will remove or scratch. And now the magic of cyanocrolite with baking soda. I use baking soda and cyanocrolite and then sanding to create these fillings for these spheres, and now green stuff to create a more kind of rubbery one, because it's more rubbery, this material, because I will need to remove the head and to put it while I'm painting it, because the eyes are movable, so I have to paint them in one go and the head in another go. I cannot afford to have a failure here, so I need to make this removable, at least for now. And this is the original back of the Tachikoma, which looks like a Lego, and this is the one modified by cyanocrolite with baking soda. It looks more like a model. Right now we have to make some holes for the bat eye, I guess, and the net layers of the sides, because Tachikomas can do the Spider-Man thing. And because for the cannon of the Tachikoma I used this pen pad, I saved some of the tubes to make different weapon systems, like this Gatling. And now it's time to dry fit the bat of the Tachikoma. I like how it looks. By the way, the hatch is another Lego fake piece, like a hemispherical dome. I apparently love those things, but we have to cut that antenna because, well...
Hail, hail, Rabonia!
And after that we have to add more details. These sides of the side came from a TOW missile launcher. I'm gonna cut this and glue it there with baking soda again and cyanocrolite. And that extra detail came from armature wire, which is malleable enough to make a perfect circumference. And speaking about perfect circumferences, that boot is really round, so I will craft this by act of magic using beads, and you will have these things, because it can act as ballast tanks, because I imagine this Tachikoma could be a kind of a special operations Tachikoma for underwater operations in the water. Yes, these things from the Tachikoma are probably sensors, I don't know. The original one has those on the eyes. And these are the net layers, which work like this in the anime. Now that you know the abilities of the Tachikomas, it's time to glue more things, like this side that came from a T-34-76, I guess on the side of the turret. And now I will glue some hinges here to indicate that this door can be open or closed. This is the technique of using baking soda and cyanocrolite for everything that I use. Once sanded, it looks like everything is one single piece coming from a cast, and these sides of the driving pod or Tachikoma bat were made by heating this flat screwdriver and putting there the tip of the screwdriver with some care, because this is plastic. If you keep the screwdriver too much time there, you will ruin the thing, but overall it should work. Now I'm gluing brake lights from a M113 APC on the back, and that was all. Part 5. Adding more details. Now I will glue these lights of the Tachikoma there. This came from a toy, And this thing, which I'm not sure what is, it could be some kind of sensor. But right now, because I'm bored, I will hit this flat screwdriver in order to create an structure for suspended casings of the machine gun or submachine gun that should be there. And it's gonna have only 2 seconds of screen time just here. Yes! And now it's time to glue some things to other things. I will use acrylate to glue that half part of a LED to this pen tip of a pen tip. Well, sometimes I just run out of ideas to say creative stuff or some cohesive like a normal human being. And this thing is the butt of the other Tachikoma made out of a Kinder Egg toy. And now I'm creating a retro screen. Basically, you need a thing and then glue another thing which came from an engine just inside and glue everything to a pole which came from a lighter, and you have a retro screen. Because this bat is for telecommunications and hacking robots and drones and that type of thing, such as a spy, like the Chinese spies of Fallout 3. I take inspiration to make this radio on Soviet radios, like in the game High Fleet, which is a kind of space Soviet Union sci-fi simulator with things and inspiration in the Cold War. What? And maybe Dune. Yes. And another inspiration was the inside of real times, like this T-54, which has clocks and things. You have there a headset, and there you have clocks to indicate stuff, and here you have another clock, which is a compass, I guess. And now I'm gonna glue some smoke dischargers there. By the way, the hatch can open and close because it came from a Lehman Russ battle tank, and they are oversized like majority of things in Warhammer. Now I will glue a few more things there, and obviously it can rotate over itself, and I will glue an antenna there. Also, off camera, I glue this magnet here in order to connect this small dish, because maybe the guy inside can or want to connect to internet or falloutnet or boltnet, I'm not sure. Part 6, textures. I will add some texture to these two boys and some scenes, because this is retro futuristic. Nevertheless, this is the turret of an IS-3 Joseph Stalin, and it has some type of casting texture. Other tanks such as the IS-2 or the T-34 or the T-54 had the same type of texture. Basically, during the war, you need to cast really fast the things, so you do not have time to actually polish the metal after, and you have that texture. But the post-war tanks or other machines made using or systems, other things using casting, had less visible details like those because they were crafted with more care or time. Now I will make some weld marks doing this. You can use metal or whatever you have at hand, consist in making these vertical lines, cutting the excess, and you have either torsion marks or either welding marks depending on your purpose. But for this Tachikoma, I fill these empty voids using the technique of baking soda and loctite or cyanochrolite, because this Tachikoma is for underwater operation and I didn't want to use this. And this part is fantastic because you do not need any type of coordination, and your hands consist in mixing plastic putty with plastic cement. You stipple everything like this, it will look extremely horrible, doesn't matter, because after we will sand everything with a really small grain sandpaper and it will look like this. What are you seeing right now is that I move the light in order to create shadows, and you can see here less detail and here more detail, which could be I'm not sure. It will work better as mortar for a house than for casting metal, but it's as simple as this. I recommend to everyone to do this type of technique if obviously it has some logic to be there. If not, well, nope. After doing all of that in the models, it shouldn't looking like something like this. And well, we are almost there. Now I'm using a technique which I also use on the Hobby Tonk, consists on using a filter, just a liquid, do not shake the bottle, and it will remove the paint because it adds such as a kind of not very heavy acid, and it will remove some paint. I also will paint rubber on the wheels to have this effect, and overall the effect of the scratches is not very evident on the red Tachikoma, which I guess because it is a type of underwater spider tank, the red paint is a kind of protective paint, such as the one in the hull of ships. So I guess it's lore friendly that the scratches are not that super thick, big or evident. Now on the green Tachikoma pads you will see it. By the way, I will paint this white, but I will not continue painting this on this video because this has taken me an immense amount of time, including the edition of this video, stop motions, etc. So
I will really appreciate if you give a like, subscribe and click on notifications. Bye!
Yep, and well, right now you can see here how I'm scratching this paint, because it is green with another green layer. I also will paint white here, because the next step is when we will remove and scratch all the paint, including these white lines. Why I painted these white lines? Because Soviet tanks in cities usually use white lines, maybe Chinese tanks not, and this is a Chinese spider tank for Fallout, but I like how it looks. That's overall the explanation. And I painted this Chinese red army star using these metal stencils which came from AliExpress. Basically paint first a red star, then the yellow one with basic Mephiston red, and then Games Workshop yellow because it's the yellow that I had. Same with the white, the most normal white paint that I had. And that's all. And now is when we can actually scratch the paint. Why? Because the stencils are actually painted. We can, if we want, scratch those. If we put a decal, we will not be able to do the same with that. And because I have talked about everything necessary, I will tell the invented lore of these things. Why not? I imagine that the Tachikoma, which is the green one for my followed invented stuff, could be a military vehicle mech robot power armor mixture called Type 59 Sanze, which means warrior in English. And well, I imagine that these machines could be produced in an underground facility or underground city facility. There is a variety of stuff, internet saying that China and North Korea has an immense amount of underground systems and cities and stuff to produce stuff or fix stuff which were made into the Cold War. And I consider that interesting to exist in Fallout universe and to even to some degree exist and be workable on the post-war. The red Fuchikoma, I call it Type 62 Chi-Hiao, which is translated as red shark, because I imagine this vehicle mech robot thing as a kind of underwater mini submarine, legged submarine. If you have played Subnautica and you have picked a brown exosuit, you will understand why you need such things in a post-nuclear filled with monsters ocean setting. Yeah, and the actual objective of this machine before the war was to sabotaging oil pipes, oil rigs, submarines, ships, warships, or just be waiting underwater, or transport some high-priority members, maybe some type of special operations. Also, the idea to create this was the idea of the Kaiten mini-submarines used by Japan in Pearl Harbor. Both are equipped with thermo-optic camouflage, a variety of systems such as different weapon systems, modularity, different array of secondary armaments, or other things. For example, the original bat of the Tachikoma can deploy nets, can hang from buildings, mountains, stuff like that. This Soviet bat, as I call it, is a version due in the Soviet Union, such as a collaboration, and it's intended for managing communications, hacking, control robots, etc. Another way of espionage. The three Tachikomas are designed with MBK protections, nuclear, biological, radiological, chemical, I guess. MBC, yeah. And overall, they have an AI such as in Ghost in the Shell, and they could have been used prior to the war and post-war for small operations. I do not imagine these things as mass-produced war machines, just as a kind of special unit for special jobs. For example, I imagine that they could operate well in urban combat environments, underground big facilities, or just facilities, tunnels, factories. Overall, it's like having a tank, which is also a comrade on the battlefield. It can operate itself without you inside. So if you are gonna deploy these using planes, vertebrates, some type of beetle aircraft thing could be useful, maybe for even space operations, who knows. That's all for now. Basically, it's what happens when you like two different franchises and you want to create a crossover, because I didn't want to just make normal power armor for China. I wanted something different and a bit more unique, so I need to take from other places. Part 7. Eyes. For the eyes this time I tried to do something new, which consisted on making a cast using thermoplastic and then dropping UV resin on said cast and put some paint, special paint for this resin, to achieve this. And now I'm using a Tamiya paint to paint those lights, and now the same UV resin for the searchlight. This is the actual main eye or camera that I will put inside. It fits so good that I didn't need any glue. And this is the searchlight, which it was made using resin and then painting with translucent orange paint. And that black gloss, it was achieved by using basic gloss varnish. Do the same with the Soviet communication module, if you do not want to say Soviet bat, and on the other bat or module, pod or whatever. And now it's everything done. I just remembered that to make this light for the Tachikoma, what I did was put a wire with a spherical head painted green inside the green resin, so it simulates that there is a camera objective glass thing.
What? Hi, who are you? I'm the Okama. What things you can do? Well, I'm Tachikoma, and I can do basically whatever you can do. I
drive with more articulations because I'm intended for combat. I have these net layers, I have this pod for driving, and we work in pairs. There is Tachikoma. Hi Tachikoma, how are you today? And nice Tachikoma. And you? Well, here is Lego-Kama, and he's saying that his bat does not work as good. Well, mine works like this. Can drop nets, such as Tachikoma, and I have ballast tanks that allow me to swim in the ocean. And I'm Tachikoma, and I'm intended for combat. And basically that's all. Oh, you forget about me, guys. Why I'm not cool as you, guys? Well, we can ask our viewers if they want to see you modified one day.
And well, that was all that I wanted to show you. Now you understand or know how you can transform a Lego, which is a simple toy without details, well, this was a fake Lego, into a heavy modified, filled with details toy scale model like this one. And if you apply magnets, you will have the articulation of the Lego plus the magnets plus the modularity. Overall, the idea of this was because I love Fallout, I love Tachikomas, I love Ghost in the Shell, I love Spider-Mechs. That's all. But you can learn a variety of techniques here to make this, to transform a simple toy into a heavy articulated toy, because Lego is extremely articulated. Obviously, this is fake Lego. And if you apply magnets, such as I have done, you will have modularity, ability to change things, weapon systems, as you will see now. For example, the Tachikoma can be changed the cannon for an RPG or a Gatling, as you have seen right now. And this will give you modularity if you want to play tonks, which is another type of tonk, these spiders by the way. This is the scale with a 1/35 scale model for Fallout that I invented, and an enforcer from Necromunda. And if you want to play with this in tonks, well, you can, because it has mostly the same scale that tonks usually have. And well, you can paint this in a variety of colors if you want. For the Imperium, just add an immense amount of skulls and eagles and rivets. If you want this for orcs, add teeth to the formula. Obviously, this is not to play with the Hobbit tonk. I will make more things, probably my next video. I'm thinking on a goblin battleship or tonk, I don't know. You can say in the comments if you like that. Have a nice new year, by the way.